Well, here's another story for the Healer's Heart series. This story is submitted by Sharon Hinton, who we're calling the story The Power of Polo. Well, she was a young nurse and she was working in the ICU. And normally new nurses don't work in ICU, but she had been working there as a CNA for many years. And then while she graduated, because she knew the unit, she was luckily and graciously accepted into that unit. She began to learn things nursing school didn't teach her, but the more advanced and senior nurses did. One day in particular, there was a patient and his name was Roy. He had been in a motorcycle accident. He insisted on driving the new motorcycle of a friend, although his father said no, and of course promptly ran into a telephone pole, collapsed a lung, and severely damaged the other. His prognosis was not good. He was angry, and so all of the nurses had a difficult time trying to deal with him, because what typical 15-year-old boy is having fun with an ICU experience? Well, so they said to her, you go and deal with him because you're young, maybe you can relate to him. So she did, and she walked in and saw a scruffy, mangy teenage boy with peach fuzz and tangled in sheets and didn't want to have a bath for weeks. And so she said, I'll bet you a little shampoo and a little shave will keep that beast of a beard tamed. Well, of course, most 15-year-old boys want to believe they can grow a beard. So he said, yeah. And suddenly there was a softness to him. He said, and I also use Polo aftershave. Well, he was pretty proud of that. So she let him, or he let her, do the little shave and cleaning up, and then of course proudly put on that polo on his neck, and he changed and beamed like he hadn't before. Well, every night this became their ritual as she worked the night shift, and he looked forward to her in that time and would ask for her. Well, his prognosis still was not good, and he was declining. They talked about things he was interested in, baseball and maybe his truck at home, and he wasn't receiving any visitors. His father was just downright angry because now he had put himself in this situation, and his mother didn't drive, so he really didn't get visitors. So he clung to this young nurse because she was open to him and supportive of him, and as he declined, the grip that he would have on her hand as she would come in to visit and do whatever she needed to do with medication, was getting tighter. Well, she remembered thinking, nurses don't cry, nurses don't cry. And so she would choke back the tears every shift as she saw his condition deteriorate. Well, one night when things were not looking good, the charge nurse said, Roy is yours, and we're going to give you only him, and we'll give out everybody else the other assignment. He's asking for you. We don't expect him to live through the night. Well, can you imagine that kind of an assignment? So she went into him and they talked of things that they had before, of baseball and his truck. And she talked to him about another shave and wanted him to smell good with that Polo aftershave. And she even mentioned that maybe when he crosses the veil, he's going to be the best smelling young man there. Well, they had never really talked about death, but now it was time. So as death approached and the other nurses went about frantically doing what they would do, she was holding his hand, and he held tightly until there was no more strength, and he passed. Well, she finished that shave and got him prepared and put on that last splash of Polo. And now every time she smells Polo, she thinks of Roy and the lessons that he taught her that she never learned in textbooks or never learned in school. He taught her that sometimes death is the cure and that nurses can cry. So I know you nurses are dealing with difficult things now during the pandemic of COVID, and I heard from a previous nursing student how she cries every shift as there are multiple patients that don't survive. She also smiles with those who are making it through the ventilators and all the assistants. And it is okay to cry, because that's what makes you, a nurse, human, because it is the work of the heart. And we thank you for all the work that you do. We would love to share any of your stories. If you've got a story, come share it with us on lifelonglearningeducation.com. And in the meantime, thank you and happy healing.